Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about the ABC countries, which are Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. We're not going to do it in that order, but sometimes they're referred to as the ABC countries. They're the largest countries, I think, in terms of population, definitely in terms of economics in South America. So they take on a different role in South America than, say, some of the other countries. We on Monday, we're going to talk more about this right here, Ecuador. And we're going to talk about some things like right and left government, some other things that are important in South America. Today, we're just going to look at a couple countries, a few of these countries, sort of see the things that they're looking at right now, why these are important countries, what is sort of their future, etc., like that. But we really got to look at the past, and so we're going to start. By the way, I hope you read that article. More importantly, I hope you watch those videos. Those are fantastic, like videos of what they call them, ethno-musical, where essentially how different ethnicities have music and how they treat the music. Good times, bad times, whatever that is. That lady with the accordion singing. Oh man, so good. All right. So let's start with Chile. And Chile, really, one of the things we start with is this guy named General Augusto Pinochet. From 1973 to 1990, he was the leader, most would say dictator, of Chile. Again, I want to say most of our right-left government stuff for Monday. But for now, just know that he would be what we call somebody on the right. And the right would include things that are sort of pro-America. So in the early 70s, there was this guy, President Allende. He was a socialist. And in the 1970s, the middle of the Cold War, if you said socialist, the United States said communist. And the United States said communist. They say Russians, Soviet Union. We got to make sure they stop that. So when he's president, the United States says, we can't have that over here in the Western Hemisphere. And so they help, the CIA goes down there and helps start a military coup. And they find this dude, I think he was a colonel at the time, in Pinochet, and say, hey, Pinochet, you want to be in charge? Pinochet says, you bet. And so they start a coup, Pinochet takes over, and for the next 17, 18 years, he is the guy in charge, and he is, for lack of a better term, when we say dictator, like it's a military dictatorship, which means it's not just this guy's the guy in charge, but the military will sort of reinforce that. And it was problematic. Now, that's the bad side. And we're going to talk more about the bad side of all this in a second. But others will say, look, under Pinochet, there was this economic miracle. The economy of Chile was going downhill in the 1970s, and then all of a sudden in the 1980s, it picks up. And things are going in the mid 70s on to the 80s. Just the Chilean economy blows up. It's so great. He privatizes industries, so instead of having sort of the government run the industries, it's going to be private property, very much on the, again, idea here being the right, capitalism 101. So privatization of industries, the economy is growing, but if you look deeper, what you find is there's also a dramatic increase in inequality in Chile at this point. And the question that comes out of this is, yes, Chilean economy grew. It was kind of a miracle that grew, but a miracle for whom? The wealthy, the capitalists, all that kind of stuff. So even this that is sort of seen as a good thing, it also has its problems associated with it. During his dictatorship, many are jailed, killed, disappeared. Now you get jailed, put people in jail. Kill them, I totally get that. What's disappeared? What's that verb? Disappeared is where the government would pick somebody up and then they're just gone. They're not in prison. They may be dead, but there's no body. They're just gone. They're disappeared. What would occasionally happen, for example, is you put them in a helicopter, you fly them out over the ocean, you push them out, disappeared. And this was actually somewhat more disturbing. I mean, as disturbing as those first two can be, like if your kid is disappeared, like there's no closure. You don't know if they're in jail. You don't know if they're killed. You don't know if they ran away. You don't know anything about it. They are disappeared. In 1990, he steps down with immunity. Why in 1990? I want you to think about that for a second. Why in 1990 does Pinochet step down? What happens in that time? The answer is the end of the Cold War. The Cold War is over. The United States no longer needs to have an anti-Soviet but very awkward, human rights-wise, Pinochet. And so the United States says, we're going to back off that for now, and so Pinochet has to step down. Now he steps down with immunity, which means that he can't be tried. They make him a senator, which means he can't be tried at all for crimes that were committed ever. So if you didn't like what Pinochet did, he's immune from prosecution. There's good and bad to that. The justice side says that kind of sucks. What about all these people? The practical side says, if he didn't have immunity, would he have stepped down at all, or would he have taken the country into a civil war? So while this may be problematic in terms of justice, maybe it's a good thing in terms of practicality. All right, Pinochet, not a great guy. The economy of Chile. Chile is, we talked about this when we talked about the oil states, that the oil states have kind of a one commodity economy, that's oil. Chile is kind of like that as well. They have one commodity and they are the largest exporter of it. It's copper. If the global price of copper goes up because of increased electronics, and by the way, that's one of the reasons the economic miracle happens in Chile, is because also around the 70s and the 80s, that because of personal computers and all these other things that are sort of happening, the value of demand for copper goes way up. And so as the largest exporter of copper, they're making tons of money. And since the 1990s, since the end of essentially Pinochet's reign, they've really tried greater diversification of the economy. So they're trying not to be a one commodity economy anymore, so that when copper prices go down, their whole economy doesn't sort of collapse. It's a mixed bag on this. Chile is really a copper country. It's a tough thing to sort of do other things, but it's trying. Politics, they swung right in 2010, left in 2014, right in 2017. In other words, neither the right nor the left really has the dominant sort of position. In fact, right now in Chile, the president is a right-winger, and the Congress is left-wing. So it's divided government. And honestly, that works okay, especially in South America, where there's these wild swings in terms of right and left. Again, we're talking about that on Monday. Just leave that alone for now. So what they have right now is a very strong support of free market policies, capitalism, that sort of thing. All right, fantastic. By the way, here's that economic miracle. If you look at this right here, man, I can't even see right here. I can't. This is not a good thing. Here's the 80s, here's 70s. All right, here's 1970. So right about here is when Pinochet takes over, and right about here is when Pinochet is out of power. And the purple Chile line here, there's this pickup. So you see this sort of trend of really increasing their economy. And then as they try to diversify here, it's got even better. So Chile, you might not know this, but Chile has the strongest economy in terms of GDP per capita in South America. Now that being said, a lot of that's based on copper. And so, how much do we really want to say that is like a great economy? Last thing about Chile that I want to talk about is just an interesting little thing. The Peru-Chile border dispute. So here's the Peru-Chile border. Now, when we think of South America, sometimes we talk about it as a zone of peace, because really since the 1800s, there hasn't really been a war in South America. I mean, you can count World War II, but these countries weren't fighting against each other. I mean, it's interesting for 100 some odd years, just really hasn't been a war other than civil wars in South America. But just an interesting thing that almost turned into a war. The Peru-Chile border, so 2008, Peru files a claim at the International Court of Justice. So this is the interesting thing, is right about, I don't know, I'm trying to think where it is here. Right about here, I think it's here. There's a fishery. So Peru says the international border goes out like this. See, we follow the line. See how the line's kind of going like this? And so we follow the line out, and that's the border. And then Chile says, no, 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 you follow the I don't know, longitude or latitude, whatever that is, and it goes straight out like that. And so there's this dispute. So who has control over this fishery here? And the way that so they took this to the International Court of Justice, October 2009, Chilean military exercises. Like, people thought they were going to fight a war over this fishery. It actually turns out, 2014, the International Court of Justice comes up with a ruling that kind of goes out a little bit and then goes down a little bit and sort of splits things in half. Everybody kind of gets access to this fishery. Nobody has it all themselves. Things kind of chill out. But it could have been a war. I only say that just because it's just interesting that South America just really hasn't seen a war. I mean, think of all the wars that Europe has had since the 1800s. Okay, so now you're going to watch another quick video about the Chilean Constitution that